team.
Having you on my team.
Yes.
You know, and
having your
having
your support.
That's right.
Having your buy-in. But again, your buy-in as a top level is different than buy-in of somebody who's desperate and they need any kind of way to get traction.
Yeah.
And so for us, how do we, and we're going to unpack kind of what you're going through with the process, but how do we focus on growth strategies? We focus on, hey, we need feedback from our peers and subordinates in your case, but then also we need feedback from clients, something to let us know positive or negative.
Good point.
But all of this is
welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
Listening in our ministries, listening in our careers, and this is a pretty good wrap up as far as what about listening when things don't go right? What about listening when a customer departs, we lose business, those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to dig into this.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've been hyper focused on the different stages leading up to a sale or a challenge accepted, before they were customers, while they're customers, or while we're engaging a challenge, whether to peers and things like that. Now it's at that point where they're gone, and sometimes it feels like it's too late. And sometimes we do a poor job at trying to collect that data of what's been going on, but just realizing the value of being able to capture that. I think that's really what we're honing in and focusing on tonight, is that because sometimes it hurts. Like, I don't want to go grab all this negativity from this customer who just left. They obviously left for a reason.
Yep.
But the amount of value that's in there, to prevent somebody else from leaving,
Yeah, I think there's multiple versions of it. There could be micro versions of a restaurant where they're leaving a bad review or something. And so it's not like they won't necessarily be back. They may not be back, but it's almost like learning from that temporary one-time failure from a not very committed customer. That's a micro version. A bigger version would be, this is a long-time customer and they left, and why they leave, and kind of like learning from that. Another one is when an employee leaves, why did we lose them? Especially if they were a good employee, what could we have done differently, and how can we listen in that situation? So the general probably theme is listening from failure in business.
Yeah.
And it hurts because I don't like to look at those things. I'd rather move on from those, unless there's a pattern, and then I might kind of like, learn more. But what if we were more intentional about listening from each failure and really trying to figure out what we can do to improve?
Yeah. How do you find the pattern if you don't do it each time?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only
good.
way. No,
yeah, you're right. There could be like a self-delusion, like, well, this doesn't happen very often. And, you literally might say, well, okay, but if you would have studied each situation, what if you could have found a common thread to that?
Yeah.
So it feels like it doesn't happen very often when you have a business situation that goes south, but if you could study that and you really captured a lot of data about it and you compared them, I think you got a good point. You might really find a common thread.
Now, I was just thinking about this. We haven't talked about this prior in our prep or anything. Do you have number one, do you have, or would you prefer this to be automated? Like, hey, part of your closing out, you got to do this and you got to fill out this questionnaire. Let us know why you're leaving immediately. Or would you rather have, a day or two follow up, or a week? What is your preferred method and, time frame for you?
I think the harder path is usually the better quality path.
Yeah.
So I feel like a personal follow-up is going to be better in every case. I think if all you can do, maybe it's a volume business and all you feel like you can do is do the automated, then I feel like what's in it for them? Can you somehow find a way to make it valuable for them? Maybe there's a gift card, maybe there's a whatever it may be. I don't know.
I'm sure they don't want it. Whatever you got.
Whatever they don't want. maybe it's, it could be just a cup of coffee, Starbucks gift card. That's just a random idea. But yeah, I think my preference would be definitely a personal outreach.
What have you used?
And
Have you used, like, just thinking back over the decades?
I mean, I would say that the main thing we do is we do a postmortem call in every case, in every
Okay.
single case. I mean, I can't remember losing a customer and just sending them an email asking them for feedback. So that would be a corner case, and it'd be bad.
Yeah,
It would be better than nothing at all, though.
yeah,
But yeah, I can't remember doing that. And also when an employee leaves as well, exit interview type thing. Also, just simple listening, like you probably have noticed on Google reviews or on Yelp or Amazon reviews, where it makes a big difference if somebody complains and then the vendor comes in after that. You've seen these happen sometimes.
uh-huh.
They'll say, hey, message me here, we want to take care of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's that. It really paints the image of a very engaged, caring vendor. So yeah, I think the personal, you see the pattern though? Even that was personal versus
Yeah.
spammy email, spam survey, you know what I mean?
I
Versus
just
some
wonder how much
survey.
that works.
Which
Yeah.
part, like the spammy survey kind of stuff?
Well, number one, yes to that. Well, I think that does work. I just wonder the quality of what you get back. If somebody's just
Yeah,
like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you,
right.
just, all ones or all negatives or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
or, in something like that, my response to that is like that stuff done in secret. So if I go public and give you public negative and you want to come after me and have a private positive, I don't think that does a win-win for the business. For me, if it was me, if you want to have a public negative, then I'm going to combat you with a public positive. I want to discuss this right now on here. That's the way I would do it.
yeah.
Let me show everybody here what's going to happen if you want to post a negative about me, and we're going to handle it. The problem is, or because the goal is, I don't want a negative. And if I do get one, I'm showing you how passionate I am about it, about fixing it, that I want everybody to see it.
And it's not about them at that point. The fact that you're giving public correction and you're publicly trying to fix it, it may turn them around. Cool. It may at least damper their negative voice about you in the marketplace. But the other part of it is that you would be able to have the marketplace understand this person cares, this company cares, they're addressing it.
Yeah. And that way, if somebody else had if they're having a similar issue, they can see me, whatever company, going out of my way, trying to, number one, take ownership. Yeah, we messed up. Yeah, whatever. I understand your issue. I'm not trying to say that we don't. I'm not even trying to say that, try to write it off. I want to make it better, and I want to earn your business, and if you still want to leave, I want you to know that I value what you're saying. I don't want to do this in private. That's how I would want to.
That feels good. And I would just add to that, that if, having the moral foundation to your approach and saying, even if you don't want to stay with us, or if you don't want to frequent our restaurant again or whatever, it's important I do the right thing for conscience sake.
Yeah.
And for the place, putting myself in the shoes of any customer, any future customer, and any current customer, whether or not we ever win your business back, it's important that we take matters into our hands to take care of you.
Yeah.
Because it's for the sake of conscience, the sake of doing the right thing.
So I'm going to ask myself the same question that I asked you. So for me, like with JL, we have a 30-day cancellation notice that you just, you need to send us something so that, and the main reason for that is we're scheduling things 90 days out in advance. So I don't want to know, from a Tuesday to a Wednesday, we're still scheduling out. So I want to be able to slow down that process. But part of it is I want to, now I have 30 days to have this conversation with you. Like, I know it's happening. Okay. So let's get everything closed out. Let's make sure we wrap up on a nice firm note. And then again, we're going to have an end of business call, like whether we're just cycling out, whether it was, we talked about 90 days and this is what we did. And so we're just going to have a recap, What can we do to earn you back again in the future to work on the next project, the next ordeal, you know?
I
So,
think the same spirit that you guys are using right now for prospecting of we don't need you, we're going to provide value.
yeah,
I think that also happens a lot in the end of life scenario and the end of business life scenario.
yeah,
And I feel like it's better if you can go at them with, you don't need to stay.
yeah,
But if I can learn from this, it would be very helpful to our business so we can do better.
yeah,
And there's absolutely no expectation that by having this call with me that you're going to stay. My expectation is that you will not. But if I can learn, I feel like I have a moral obligation to current and future customers to learn from your experience so we can improve and transform. Are
yeah,
you okay coaching me and being part of our transformation process?
yeah,
I just feel like people can smell it when you're just trying to save the account.
yeah.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
don't try to save the account. Try
No,
to save yourself. Try to save your business and try to save from treating someone wrong or doing whatever it is or having a busted process for the next time.
yeah. And you know what? There's certain types of businesses that it's cool to save the account. And I'm talking about like if you are a fast food worker, you're trying to save my account in that moment. Hey man, let me give
Yeah.
you another order of fries. Sorry we
Sure.
messed this up. You know, here
Yep.
you go, bro. Totally get
Yep.
it. Yes, that's okay. But you have to value yourself and your business to a certain degree to where you can say, if I sit here and try to say, hey, let me give you 2 free months on us because you know we want to own this. You're devaluing yourself and what you're doing. You're also just telling that customer, I really only care if you sign this for another 6 months or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's not, I mean, maybe that is what you want to get across. And if that is, then awesome. You know, you're not our client for how
Yeah,
he.
you can have choices. People can have choices. If they wanted to focus on the only thing about listening at the end of the relationship, the only thing they want is to save that individual customer, that's fine. That's their choice. That's just not what I would recommend. And that's just not how I want to be myself. I would rather learn from the bigger picture
Yeah,
than the micro.
yeah. I don't want to run a business built on discounts. I don't want a discount to come in, and I don't want a discount to keep you from going out. I don't want to build a business that way. I
Mhm.
want to build a business on value. We have a value, and we're providing you value because we value you. It's all based on value. That's how I want to build a business. Um, again, it's one of the things that I talk about on social media. I can't stand the discount approach. You're discounting the person that you're talking to. You're discounting yourself. You're discounting the product, service, idea that you have. It's not a good way to do business.
The other thing I would say is, there's a lot of little moments that you can listen for up to the actual final closure of a business relationship. And if you can learn from the mini losses, then you won't have the big loss.
Yeah.
So for example, as they are seemingly very frustrated, or they lost money because of you, or they lost time because of you, or whatever it was, if you're going to correct that and learn from it and communicate how you corrected it and take ownership of it, and don't be defensive, then you can learn from the little losses, which actually will save you from the big loss. And here's something else. I had a conversation last week about this one, which is you can really gain a lifeline customer in the way that you treat them and the way that you respond when things go south. Because now I see you under pressure. And now I see that you didn't point fingers at me.
Yeah.
And now I see that you took ownership and you were sorry about it and you are trying to make it right. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like the spirit of intent behind it comes through in that way, where you're still trying to save the account, but you're really trying to save them from problems, really, ultimately. And like I said, if you save them from the little problems, then you won't have a big loss.
What about and I'm just trying to unpack a thought that I just had as you're talking, but what about the thought of, I want to have a conversation with you on the way out because I want to give you the ability to share exactly what's going on. Like, again, not necessarily, I mean, I love the aspect, I want to learn from this, but again, if I'm on the other end, I don't really care if you learn from this or not. I'm mad, I'm frustrated, you're costing me, because again, maybe I used your company, Brian, and because I used your company, now I'm in the doghouse because it's affecting me and my team. And so, is there a time, number one, and is there an opportunity to just say, hey, you know what? I know that you're frustrated. I would love to just have your unadulterated, you know, take the gloves off and just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's super valuable. 100%.
you know, it's 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 really hard to do, to just sit there and just say, hey man, just have after it. Tell me what you think about the whole process. I know you're frustrated, and so I got to kind of, you don't tell the customer, but I gotta take some choice words out. I gotta take your tone out and just really listen. But just, hey man, thanks so much. That's it. Just like you said, like I'm not expecting you at all to even consider us. I'm expecting you to go tell everybody how much you hate us. But could you tell me first?
Yeah.
Could you tell me what it is?
And I think if you can solicit that kind of feedback, what happens is it's actually kind of a sign of your own personal health, your inner health, or your inner unhealthiness. But whether or not you can receive that and take that in,
yeah,
and be that active listener under pressure like that is actually it's a reflection, it's a mirror to you. Can you have that conversation? Number one. Number two, is your business healthy enough as well?
Yeah.
And your business might be a reflection of you, but is your business healthy enough that there is a process for listening at the end? And that, how does that process, what does that process look like? And do we learn from that process? And so I feel like that's the end is actually quite a little test in a lot of ways. It's a learning, but it's also a test.
Yeah. I love that approach that we were just talking about, because I think it's really disarming when somebody's just, they're mad and you're just like, well, okay, let me have it.
I like to say, do business by faith as though, how do I say this? It's more of a thought than a saying right now.
Okay.
It hasn't been really, I haven't really done a good job saying it out loud, but I keep having this thought for like weeks or months.
Okay.
What if you could allow yourself to do business the way that feels the best in your soul, regardless of the consequences, right?
Yep.
What would that look like? And I think it would look like my soul doesn't need to pay a bill. My soul doesn't need to retain a customer.
Yeah.
My soul just feels bad that we suck and that we lost that customer. And so what if we could allow our soul to kind of like lead this dance in humility and sincerity and being other centric and not worry about the financial hit to us. Yeah. If you operate that way, I think it will actually keep you out of some of those future problems.
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's the same thing, just like what you're saying, but instead of just saying we lost this customer, it's my soul hurt because they didn't succeed. My soul,
love that. That's even better.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the reason why.
I'm not going to throw away the first part because I need that, but I like that with it. I like that with it.
Yes, because that's the whole reason we.
I want you to say it again though, since I interrupted you. Can you say it again? Because I want to make really sure.
You say your part and I'll say my part.
Okay, so it's part A and part B. So the first part is, what if we allowed ourselves at the end of the business relationship to operate from our heart and from our soul as if there were no personal and business consequences? How would we treat them if we weren't offended and if we weren't losing money and if we weren't desperate for business and all those things? What would our soul do if we could operate out of a soul and an almost spiritual way about that other business partner and that customer or that employee who's leaving? We're not trying to save them. We're trying to think about them. And then that leads to, I think, what you're saying.
Yeah, is that really what it is that our soul hurts because they weren't as successful probably as what we thought they could be with our product, solution, or idea. That's
that a
what
lot.
really hurts. And if we can capture that, I think if that's our
Yeah.
motive, whenever, hey, Howie, I'm tired of this, that, and the other. And your response back to me is, man, my goal was to make you 10x. And, maybe we were successful and it was 3x, but, we both had an expectation of 10x.
Mhm.
And so your heart hurts for that situation. And let's capture that. Let's capture that moment. What could we have done to get you to 10x? Were you ever a 10x customer? Should I now learn that certain customers are 3x's, and
I like
that's
it.
really, I think, the value in it.
I like it a lot. I feel like those are very closely linked, and I really like them. I like that. That's a better shift, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm desperate, so acting out of not being desperate, acting out of being other centered,
Yeah.
and acting as though you didn't have need, and
Yeah.
using the discipline. It's almost the discipline of faith, right? Where it's like, I am going to just pretend in my mind and in my heart that this is not my biggest account.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn from this so that we can improve. And I'm going to care about them and wish them well and kindness, but also try to learn from it so I don't repeat it, and treat them like I'm not desperate for them to stay, but that I just want to hear that I want them to be heard. And then you come in after that and you say, you know what, and greater than that, acting with compassion because we could have done better and we didn't serve them, and we grieve because, and correct me if I didn't say it all the way, but we're grieving in our mentality and in our approach because we should have delivered business value to them, or in the case of an employee who's leaving, we should have given them a good experience and made them feel like a partner in a partnership, whatever it may be, whatever the business failure was. Did I capture your part?
Yeah. I think a great analogy is like an ER doctor. If I'm an ER doctor, I'm not sad that you died. I'm sad that I didn't save you. That's what burdens me, is I could have saved you. I could have saved your business. I could have been the thing that took you to the next level. That's what burdens me. Not that I lost the account, not that you died on the table like an ER doctor, but that it was my job to save you. It was my job to take you to the next level in whatever business you're in. And I didn't do that. That's the burden.
What's great about this is you're talking about basically philosophy, right? You're talking about, like philosophy, which drives, think about what we know about philosophy that can drive things, right? Philosophy, for example, Christianity, you see people opening hospitals and schools and all kinds of things in the name of Christ, for example, right? So philosophy drives behavior. And what's great about this is you're giving us business philosophy that really drives behavior and practical outcomes. I mean, think about it. If I really feel that way, if I really feel those two things, which is I don't want to act, desperate and be desperate. I want to do what my heart is yearning for, regardless of consequences or personal need. And if I operate out of, when I have a loss and when I have a customer situation, I take that personally because I should have been part of their success. If I think that way, those philosophies, which probably are one thing really, but that philosophy can lead to a better future and a more customer centered and empathetic future that will drive practical processes. For example, let's give the guys a few right now, right? Yeah. If you really feel that way, I think we should challenge ourselves and give ourselves permission, whether our business succeeds. Again, this is where it has to come down to. You have to make a personal decision that whether this works or not, we're going to live this way. Yeah. And that's a faith thing, right? And people who have spiritual faith have to live this way in their personal life all day long. We're saying apply a similar mentality to your business, which is whether it works or not, I want to do what's right for this customer and not be desperate for them, but meet their need and take their success personally. So what are some practical things that people might see, whether it's at the end of the business relationship, or the little losses up to that, or any other thing you want to talk about, what are a few practical ways that this might manifest?
Just, well, number one, the type of conversation that you have at the end. Again, we just talked about. If I'm trying to win the account, then what it tells me as a customer is that you're concerned about your vacation and not concerned about me as a business. Because why would you try to save something if I'm telling you it's going wrong for me? It's not working.
Right.
Why would you try to tell me to give me another month? Like that would be so aggravating to me. Like, don't offer me anything. I'm telling you it's not working. It has nothing to do with with anything. It's not working. So can you hear me in that? Can you listen to that?
Good.
I mean, just think about that in a relationship. I mean, we've all been there in some capacity where somebody's telling you, hey, it's over. Well, I don't want to date you anymore. You're like, hey, give me another week. Like, why would I want to stay with you another week? Or what's going to change in a week? You know, what is one more date? What is it? You know, and it's all you're telling me is that you want my time. All you're telling whatever it is about me. So.
I think that's so true. I think mentality will drive a better behavior for the customer. And what's great about that is they'll start to shift and transform your business. So, and when you become more customer centric like that, then you actually will have happier customers. You'll have more customers. You'll have more evangelistic customers who talk about you and say good things, things of that nature. So I think that's really good. Another practical one is I can't learn to serve you better if I don't know what you need. So that might drive better sales discovery. There might be middle relationship before you're even thinking about leaving. Ongoing discovery, like what's going on, like how's the business going, how are we doing, what are we forgetting, you know, when's the last time I screwed up, and yell at me about that. You know, but I think, you know, coming up with, I know we talk about feedback a lot on this podcast, but that actually could be another outcome of having this soul driving your business instead of just dollars driving your business. A feedback culture might actually arise in very practical things, you know, from this mentality.
Yeah, totally agree.
Are you shocked we ended on feedback?
No, not shocked at all. Not shocked at all.
Well, where can they find us?
Yeah, sorry.
Like sometimes we're a little too agreeable in the way we deliver, and because we don't want to, you know, kind of burn a bridge or make someone feel stupid or whatever,